The sci-fi miniseries V, 1984–1985, thrilled audiences with its gripping story of alien invasion, human resistance, and survival. With a talented cast and groundbreaking special effects, the show became a cult classic that still resonates with fans today. However, over the years, 40 actors who played a role in bringing this iconic series to life have sadly passed away. In this video, we look back at their incredible careers, their contributions to V, and the tragic circumstances of their passing. Join us as we remember the 40 stars of V who are gone but will never be forgotten. Lane Smith portrayed the ambitious and calculating Nathan Bates in V, 1984, at 48, embodying a shrewd businessman who sought to control the visitors for his own gain. Smith had a prolific career, known for playing authority figures, but he often struggled with being typecast, limiting his opportunities to take on more complex roles. His personal life was marked by turmoil. His first marriage ended in a painful divorce, and though his second marriage to Debbie Benedict lasted, it was strained by his declining health. He suffered two devastating blows: financial instability in the late 1990s as acting roles dwindled, and the diagnosis of ALS, a cruel disease that slowly robbed him of his ability to speak and move. Once a commanding presence, he became dependent on others for even the smallest tasks. On June 13, 2005, at 69, he passed away, unable to utter his final words. A man once known for his powerful voice left silent in his last moments. Robert Ellenstein played General Maxwell Larson in V in 1984 at the age of 61, portraying a strict military leader with a pragmatic, often cold approach to war. Born on June 18, 1923, in Newark, New Jersey, he served in World War II before pursuing an acting career that spanned 5 decades. He was a respected character actor, appearing in films like North by Northwest and Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, but he never attained true fame. His personal life was filled with struggles. His marriage, though long-lasting, was marked by long periods of separation due to work, and his only daughter battled severe mental illness, a source of lifelong heartache. Despite financial difficulties, he continued acting into his later years, even as his health declined. He passed away on October 28, 2010, at the age of 87, leaving behind a legacy of solid performances but a life filled with personal and professional frustrations. Howard K. Smith played himself as a news anchor in V, 1984, at 70, lending his real-world journalistic gravitas to the series. A respected reporter and commentator, his career took a tragic turn when his outspoken political views led to his early retirement from broadcasting, leaving him disillusioned and resentful. While he remained married to his wife, Benet, for over 6 decades, his obsessive dedication to his work had distanced him from his family, and he carried deep regrets over his strained relationship with his son Jack, who battled addiction for years. His later life was marked by isolation, as he watched the world of journalism move on without him. In 2002, he developed pneumonia, which worsened due to his congestive heart failure. His once powerful voice, which had narrated history for millions, faded into a whisper. On February 15, 2002, at 87, he died, his mind still sharp but his body too weak to carry on. Mickey Jones played Chris Farber in V, 1984, at 43, portraying a tough and loyal resistance fighter. Before acting, he was a drummer for Bob Dylan and the First Edition, but his shift to Hollywood was filled with rejection and financial struggles. Though he found success in character roles, he never achieved true stardom, leading to long periods of uncertainty. His marriage to Phyllis Jean Starr was a rare stability in his life, but he carried guilt over abandoning his first love, who later succumbed to addiction. In his later years, diabetes ravaged his body, leading to severe complications that left him in constant pain. His health deteriorated, forcing him into repeated hospital stays and eventually confining him to a wheelchair. The once rugged and energetic performer became frail and weak. On February 7, 2018, at 76, he passed away from complications of diabetes, fighting until the very end, but ultimately losing to his own failing body. Michael Champion played the villainous Garrison in V in 1984 at the age of 38, embodying a ruthless and ambitious figure. Born on November 3, 1946, he started his career as a musician before transitioning into acting, appearing in films like Total Recall and Beverly Hills Cop. Despite his talent, he was often cast in minor antagonist roles and never broke into stardom. His personal life was turbulent. He was married twice, but both marriages ended in bitter divorces, and he became estranged from his only son. Financial instability and dwindling acting opportunities led to depression, and he turned to alcohol as a coping mechanism. In his later years, he suffered from diabetes and heart disease, which left him weak and dependent on others. He passed away on June 16, 2021, at the age of 74, largely forgotten by Hollywood, his once promising career fading into obscurity. Conrad Janis played Dr. David Atkins in V, 1985, at 57, portraying a dedicated scientist fighting against the alien invasion. His career spanned decades, but despite a wide range of roles in film and television, he remained overshadowed by more prominent actors. This lack of widespread recognition caused him immense frustration, as he felt his talent was never fully appreciated. His personal life was equally unstable. He married 3 times, with 2 failed marriages leaving him emotionally and financially drained. His relationship with his only son, Christopher, suffered as his career took precedence over fatherhood, leading to years of estrangement. In his final years, he developed dementia, a cruel irony for a man known for his intelligence and wit. The disease robbed him of his memories and left him unable to recognize his loved ones. On March 1, 2022, at 94, he passed away from organ failure, having spent his last years in a haze of confusion, his mind slipping away long before his body gave out. John McLiam played Jacob in V in 1984 at the age of 66, portraying a wise elder who provided moral guidance to the resistance. Born on January 24, 1918, in Alberta, Canada, he built a long career in Hollywood as a character actor, often portraying working-class figures in authority roles. Despite steady work in films like First Blood and Cool Hand Luke, he never achieved leading man status and struggled financially. His marriage to Mary Jo was marked by love in their early years, but distance grew between them over time, and they never had children. In his later years, he suffered from melanoma and Parkinson's disease, which slowly robbed him of his ability to speak and move. As his health declined, he withdrew from public life, burdened by regret over missed opportunities. He passed away on April 16, 1994, at the age of 76, largely overlooked by the industry he had devoted his life to. Hugh Gillen portrayed Sheriff Big John Rowland in V in 1985 at the age of 60, embodying a steadfast lawman with a strong moral compass. In reality, Gillen was a veteran actor with a career spanning decades, though he was often relegated to small, supporting roles, never quite achieving the stardom he longed for. Despite a successful marriage to Kathleen E. Gillen, the couple suffered the devastating loss of their only child in a car accident, a tragedy that left a permanent scar on their lives. Though they remained together, their grief created a chasm between them, with Gillen turning to alcohol for solace. His health began to decline rapidly in the early 2000s, as liver disease ravaged his body, the years of drinking finally catching up with him. His final years were filled with regret, spent in a haze of medication and solitude, a stark contrast to the strong-willed sheriff he once portrayed. He passed away on May 4, 2004, at the age of 78. Chad McQueen played Dean Boddicker in V in 1984 at the age of 24, portraying a young, reckless rebel who fought against the visitors. Born on December 28, 1960, He was the son of legendary actor Steve McQueen, a connection that brought both opportunities and burdens. Despite his father's fame, Chad struggled to establish his own identity in Hollywood, appearing in a few films but never reaching the heights expected of him. Seeking a different path, he turned to race car driving, but multiple accidents left him with severe injuries, forcing him to step away from the sport. His personal life was just as turbulent. His marriage ended in divorce, and he became estranged from his 2 children. As he aged, his body suffered from years of physical strain, and he faced ongoing health problems. On September 11, 2024, at the age of 63, he passed away from organ failure, his life marked by struggle, unfulfilled potential, and the impossible challenge of escaping his father's shadow. Barry Jenner played the visitor bridge technician in V, 1984, at 43, portraying a meticulous and highly skilled engineer working for the alien invaders. Though he found steady work in television, he never reached the heights of fame, his name often forgotten despite his numerous roles. His marriage to actress Suzanne Hunt was a source of comfort, but their inability to have children weighed heavily on him, a silent sorrow he rarely spoke of. As he aged, his health began to deteriorate, and in 2016, he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. The disease progressed quickly, leaving him physically frail and emotionally drained. Despite his wife's support, he faced his final days knowing that his time was running out. On August 9, 2016, at 75, he succumbed to the illness. Another veteran actor lost to time. His contributions to Hollywood, though significant, faded into the background, leaving only fleeting memories of a man whose talent deserved far more recognition. Lyndon Childs played the Air Force general in V, 1984, at 51, embodying a stern, authoritative figure determined to defend Earth against the alien invaders. A versatile character actor, he appeared in countless television shows but never attained stardom, often playing roles that faded into the background. His personal life was deeply troubled. His first marriage ended in a bitter divorce, and his second collapsed under the weight of his career struggles. He had one son, Mark, but their relationship was strained, and they rarely spoke in later years. Financial hardship forced him into a modest existence, and as his acting opportunities dried up, he became increasingly reclusive. His final years were spent in solitude, cut off from Hollywood and old friends. On May 15, 2013, at 80, he fell from the roof of his home in Topanga, California. Whether it was an accident or something more tragic remains uncertain, but his death marked the quiet, lonely end of a man who had once commanded the screen with authority. Anthony James played Laird in V, 1984, at 42, crafting a chilling performance as a ruthless and cunning antagonist. With his gaunt, skeletal frame, he was destined for villainous roles, a typecasting that frustrated him deeply. Hollywood never saw him as anything more than a menacing figure, and as offers dwindled, he withdrew from acting entirely. His personal life was one of profound loneliness. He never married, instead dedicating his life to caring for his mother. When she passed away, he was left utterly alone, retreating from the world. He turned to painting as a form of solace, but the shadows of his past haunted him. Diagnosed with cancer in his final years, he refused to fight it aggressively, accepting his fate with a quiet resignation. On May 26, 2020, at 77, he passed away, his death barely making headlines. The man who had once terrified audiences on screen faded into history, his eerie presence forever frozen in film, even as his life ended in heartbreaking isolation. Marin Mazzie played the visitor comm officer in V, 1985, at 25, portraying an efficient and disciplined alien operative. Off-screen, she was a celebrated Broadway star with a voice that captivated audiences, but behind her dazzling stage presence lay personal struggles. Her marriage to fellow actor Jason Dannelly was filled with love, but their happiness was tested when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2015. She continued performing even as chemotherapy took its toll, determined to defy the disease. However, as her condition worsened, she faced the devastating reality that time was slipping away. Despite her brave fight, she passed away on September 13, 2018, at just 57, leaving behind a grieving husband and a legacy of breathtaking performances. Her untimely death robbed the world of one of its most extraordinary talents, a voice that should have sung for decades longer. Connie Sawyer played the old woman in V in 1984 at the age of 72, embodying the quiet strength and resilience of ordinary people during the invasion. She was a veteran character actress with an extensive but largely uncelebrated career, working steadily but never achieving widespread fame. Having dedicated her life to acting, she never married, and though she had many acquaintances in Hollywood, true friends became scarce as the years passed. In her later years, she struggled with declining health, including worsening arthritis and failing eyesight, making it increasingly difficult to work. By her 90s, many of her longtime colleagues had passed away, leaving her increasingly isolated. Though she lived to an astonishing 105, her final years were spent in quiet solitude, her contributions to entertainment largely overlooked. She passed away on January 21, 2018, from a heart attack, with few left to mourn her despite a lifetime spent in the industry she loved. Valentin de Vargas portrayed Bates' henchman in V, 1984, at 49, a ruthless enforcer who carried out orders with brutal precision. Best known for his menacing turn in Touch of Evil, 1958, de Vargas struggled to escape typecasting, his Hollywood trajectory marred by the industry's reluctance to cast Latino actors in anything but stereotypical roles. The frustration of an unfulfilled career pushed him into alcoholism, leading to the destruction of his 2 marriages. His first wife, Rita, left him after years of infidelity and neglect, taking their daughter, Lucia, with her. His second marriage to Diane Wilde was equally disastrous, marked by violent arguments and financial instability, culminating in divorce. Diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome, his body weakened, but he had no family left to care for him. Isolated and forgotten, he succumbed to the illness on June 10, 2013, at 78. K.E. Cuter took on the role of Richards in V, 1984, at 59, playing a wise and experienced figure whose insights proved crucial to the resistance. A character actor with an extensive career spanning decades, Cuter had once been a familiar face in westerns and sitcoms, but as time passed, the industry had little use for aging performers. His career, once steady, crumbled, leaving him with sporadic voiceover work and minor television appearances. The pain of professional irrelevance was compounded by personal tragedies. His only daughter, Meredith, died in a car crash in 1987, leaving him inconsolable. His marriage to Sarah Buckley barely survived the strain, with grief creating an unbridgeable chasm between them. Pulmonary complications made his final months agonizing, each breath a reminder of his frailty. He took his last labored breath on November 12, 2003, at 78. Gary Dubin portrayed the visitor messenger in V in 1985 at the age of 26, playing a cold, calculating envoy for the alien invaders. As a former child actor, he had once been full of promise, but his transition into adult roles proved difficult. By the late 1980s, acting opportunities dwindled, forcing him into small, forgettable roles and sporadic voiceover work. He married briefly in the early 1990s, but the union ended in an acrimonious divorce, with his ex-wife taking full custody of their daughter, Emily, who later cut off contact with him. Struggling with financial instability, he drifted between low-paying jobs while battling a growing dependence on pain medication. In 2014, he was diagnosed with aggressive bone cancer, and without family support, he faced his illness mostly alone. By the time he entered hospice care, he had few visitors, and his death on October 8, 2016, at the age of 57, passed with little public recognition. How Nani Min played the helicopter reporter in V, 1984, at 37, bringing a sense of urgency to the narrative as she delivered real-time coverage of the unfolding alien crisis. A talented actress of Asian descent, she battled an industry that limited opportunities for women like her, relegating her to supporting roles and fleeting guest appearances. Despite a promising start, her career never reached the heights she dreamed of, and she quietly faded from Hollywood's spotlight. Her marriage to Mark Singer, her co-star from V, seemed stable, but behind closed doors, she struggled with feelings of inadequacy, always in the shadow of her more successful husband. The couple never had children, a decision she later regretted deeply as she faced the loneliness of aging. Diagnosed with cancer in her early 60s, she endured years of grueling treatments, her once vibrant presence diminished by pain and suffering. She passed away on November 23, 2014, at 67. Robert Rothwell took on the role of the uniform cop in V, 1984, at 54, portraying a steadfast officer maintaining order amidst the chaos. A largely unknown actor with a career of minor roles, Rothwell had long resigned himself to Hollywood's indifference, taking what little work came his way. The disappointment of an unremarkable career weighed heavily on him, leading to bouts of depression and self-destruction. His personal life was equally bleak. His only marriage, to Deborah Walker, ended in acrimony after she grew tired of his drinking and financial irresponsibility. His two sons, David and Mark, distanced themselves, unwilling to watch their father spiral further into despair. By the time he reached his 70s, he was a man forgotten, spending his final years in a cramped apartment filled with old scripts and memories of a career that had never taken off. A series of strokes left him debilitated, unable to care for himself, and when he died on July 22, 2006, at 75, there was no grand obituary, no industry tribute. Charles Macaulay played Colonel Sawyer in V, 1985, at 58, a stern and authoritative military leader who often found himself at odds with the resistance. His real life, however, was marked by a different kind of battle, one against fading relevance and personal tragedy. Once a respected stage actor, Charles struggled to transition into Hollywood, settling for lesser roles that never brought him the recognition he craved. His marriage to Patricia, once a source of stability, collapsed after the devastating loss of their only son, Christopher, in a car accident. Grief consumed Charles, leading him to excessive drinking and deep depression, which further alienated him from the industry and the people he loved. When diagnosed with cancer, he refused treatment, seeing no reason to prolong his suffering. On August 13, 1999, at 71, he passed away alone in his home, his body discovered days later, his name all but forgotten by the industry he once desperately sought to conquer. Russ McCubbin portrayed Deputy Carnes in V, 1985, at 50, delivering a performance that exuded strength and loyalty. A veteran stuntman, he built a career in action-packed roles but suffered countless injuries that left him in chronic pain. Though he found steady work, financial security always seemed just out of reach, and he was forced to take whatever roles he could get, often appearing in forgettable productions. His personal life was equally troubled. His marriage ended in an acrimonious divorce, leaving him emotionally and financially drained. The greatest tragedy of his life came with the sudden death of his son in a motorcycle accident, a loss that shattered him. Grief led him down a dark path of isolation and heavy drinking, and he withdrew from the public eye. In his later years, he lived in near anonymity, his health rapidly declining. On June 28, 2018, at 83, he passed away, his body worn down by years of hardship, leaving behind a career that never gave him the recognition he deserved. Who's your favorite character in V? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.